When the streaming platforms came in, Mirzapur was one of the first shows along with Sacred Games.
Yes.
Which became a cult. It just completely blew up. I have always been a little wary of the fact that if I attach my self-worth to things like how I'm looking or how I'm constantly dressing, that's dangerous because that's going to change with time. So my confidence has to come from my work. The strategy of promoting that film was very different for that production house. So maybe I felt that if it was promoted in a certain way, I would have perhaps. But it's nice to know that in his career graph, I was one of his leading ladies.
Yeah.
Sounds nice, no?
Sounds so good. Hello everyone, this is Aina and welcome to Instant Bollywood. Today I'm in conversation with someone who emits positivity around her wherever she goes. I'm in conversation with Shriya Pilgoankar. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Aina. And we're twinning today.
We're twinning.
I want to crack a really bad joke right now. Should I look at you and like fix my hair or something?
I am very used to
You're used to these bad jokes, right?
Not bad, like everyone has an Aina joke.
But it's a very unusual name.
Yeah. I want to start off by asking you, I heard somewhere जहाँ आपने कहा था कि you journal very often and especially जब साल का end होता है because this is the year end almost we're 2 weeks away from 2024. I want to understand how has this year been for you? What has it given you? And if there's something that you would journal, what would it be?
Too many questions in one question, but I'll start with the fact that I love to journal. I think बचपन से ही मुझे लिखना पसंद है and maintaining diaries, not just one but multiple diaries. I have a diary that I use and write in when I'm traveling to the mountains. I have a diary that's just for my ideas. I have a diary that's just for random everyday thoughts, and I actually enjoy it. You know how people are clothes hoarders, makeup hoarders? I'm a stationery hoarder.
Yeah, I love diaries.
So I do like to write. Or इस साल, if there's something that I can say that I did in many ways is get out of my comfort zone. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes that also means being patient. Sometimes that also means saying no to certain things. Sometimes that means standing up for your self-worth. Sometimes that means taking risk in work, personally and professionally. So maybe I'll pat myself on the back saying, good on you, you did that, and I'm sure it'll pay off.
So overall, it's been a good year.
It's been, see, every year, no year is 100% good.
Yeah.
But I don't think of it as good or bad. I think of good and maybe not so good. I'm not going to say like bad, I mean, many things to be grateful for. I've had.
There's a lot of appreciation for Taza Khabar that you have been phenomenal. The OTT space has been so good for you and you've paved your own path, and today you're getting so much of love and recognition because of it. Is there somewhere a worry that I don't want to be an OTT actor only, or probably people will tend to box me if I continue to do OTT projects?
Actually, the situation has changed because if you notice, when the streaming platforms came in, Mirzapur was one of the first shows along with Sacred Games.
Yes.
Which became a cult. It just completely blew up in a very, very big way. At that point, maybe people somewhere thought OTT was like a second step. And still regarded theatrical. They're different mediums and different experiences. But today, given how the market has been in a few years, I think it's very obvious that no matter where a film releases, it's going to reach the audience if it's good. In one way. And for me, OTT has been career defining because of the paths that I have got, which now I don't know if in films, in retrospect, I'll never be able to answer if I would have got them or not. But in OTT, screen time is never of relevance. You can make your mark even in one scene. You can make your mark or may not be able to make your mark even if you're there in the whole series. If anything, I think the streaming platforms have done wonders for so many people.
Yes.
Look at Shefali Shah, Tilodama Shom, Meena Gupta, Ratri Deshpande. it's something to be very proud of.
100%.
So, yeah.
In fact, they all tell me this,
Yeah.
that especially when I was taking an interview with Shefali, she was like, thank God for OTT, thank God I did telecrime, thank God I took that plunge in my life.
Right.
Growing up, you've been a swimmer.
Yeah.
And you have mentioned that. But then you did not realize when your life was taking a transition कि आप actor बनना चाहते थे. My question to you is, your mom had told you this, that even if you feel 1% of that you don't have that dedication to continue swimming or being a sports person, then don't, and probably try something else.
You watched a lot of my interviews. Yeah.
You did say that. I was like, my first question that came in my head is, what about acting today, after so many years, even gives you that motivation every day to wake up and do that job? Because if you can get but if you can probably exhaust your liking for an hobby, what makes you love acting even today?
So just a correction, my phase of swimming was around 6 years old to maybe 15, 16.
Yeah.
So I had stopped swimming years before acting even came into my life.
Yeah.
It's not like swimming chhod ke I went into acting. I stopped swimming after I felt like I had given it my all and I was happy sort of exploring other things.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I wanted to be a sportsman all my life. But to answer your second question, I'm just fascinated just by the human condition. What are we doing? We're playing different lives.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a privilege that as an actor, today I get to be different people.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't want to be a Shriya, you just don't want to be an Aina. I get to be so many different people. And I learn so much about myself. I mean, I know this may sound a little philosophical, but to be honest, acting to me is much more than the glamour and the fame. Because fame and all of that is a byproduct of it.
Whenever I dreamt of becoming an actor, or when I was in this field, it was never like, मुझे magazine के front cover में रहना. It was always like, I want good work.
Yeah.
How do you detach yourself from the glamour side of it?
See, the glamour aspect is an aspect of it, and how much you want it to take over you is up to you. You know what I'm saying? I have always been a little wary of the fact that if I attach my self-worth to things like how I'm looking or how I'm constantly dressing, that's dangerous because that's going to change with time. So my confidence has to come from my work and my skills, and I don't have to stop working on that. Do I enjoy dressing up? Sure. Do I like to glam up? Sure. But that's not my focal point. मेरा career वहाँ से नहीं बन रहा. For example, अगर कोई content creator है, their main focus is creating content. Now, what I create is something that might be a hobby for me. That's not my first profession. If I put up a makeup video. For me, I'm an actor first, and then everything else sort of
is
follows.
A byproduct,
is a byproduct. But yeah, you have to stay grounded with respect to the fact that today, my mom tells me, कि हमने जब शुरुआत की थी तो इतना तामझाम नहीं था जितना आज है. But I don't stress about it. Believe it or not, I feel like I completely let go of that phase where I felt like, oh, I'm stressing about what to wear and all of that, because that's really secondary to me. I'll stress if I feel like I'm not attracting the right kind of
audience,
you know,
and work. Yeah,
both.
Has there ever been an instance where you're very satisfied and happy जो आपने काम किया, जो आपने project किया है, आपका schedule wrap हुआ है, but it's not been received the best way to the audience, and that broke your heart?
But ऐसा तो बहुत बार होता है.
Yeah,
people with like, I think what's happened with me is on every project there's been something or the other जो शायद कम पड़ गया. Like, for example, my first film, Fan, which I did with Shah Rukh, of course, it was such a wonderful opportunity.
Yes.
The strategy of promoting that film was very different for that production house. So maybe I felt that if it was promoted in a certain way, I would have perhaps benefited more from that. Or maybe if I have to say, Guilty Minds did very well for me critically and in terms of love from the audience. But then maybe I can say that perhaps a lot of people have watched Mirzapur, but that audience may not have watched Guilty Minds. So there'll always be something or the other. Also, I've shot for a couple of things that I haven't released. I did a wonderful film with Anubhav Sinha.
Oh, nice.
With a lovely cast, and that didn't end up, releasing. So every actor will have 100 stories, and because this happened to me at an earlier stage is why I told myself that I cannot depend on the numbers, I can't depend on what happens later. Because then you're bound to feel disappointed.
Of course. You know, because you spoke about your debut film Fan, I know you mentioned once that, you know, even Shah Rukh sir introduces himself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's that humble.
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan, he'll tell you, I'm Shah Rukh.
Yeah.
What was it like to actually work with him, and especially when you were just starting out?
Yeah.
It can be like very overwhelming.
Yeah. I feel like no matter how much work I do, people will still be so fascinated to know my experience working with SRK. Because I agree though, that was just so special, and sometimes it feels like a dream. Ki, haan, maine actually kiya tha. Oh my God, that was crazy. My memories of that film are so special because it felt like I am talking to a friend.
Yeah.
I had to shake myself. Wait, I'm like, you're speaking to Shah Rukh. It was very nice to see how dedicated, how focused, how with a genuine enthusiasm he still comes to set. So professional, and everybody who talks about him will say how, of course, how witty he is and how charming he is, but he really is very present. You know, at any of these parties if you go to, when you're speaking to people, while talking to you, people are always distracted. पीछे कौन है, क्या हो रहा है?
They zone out हो जाते हैं.
They zone out हो जाते हैं. But he's somebody who, when he speaks to you, he'll be so present.
Yeah.
And that's a quality that I think is so important, and that's also a quality I realized I'll never make someone feel like they're not important when they're speaking to me.
Yeah.
So it was lovely. I mean, you know, we've had so many special conversations that are just between him and I. But it's nice to know that in his career graph, I was one of his leading ladies.
Yeah.
Sounds nice, no?
Sounds so good. And it is true. It's not like you're saying it.
It was.
Yeah.
And I was also lucky that, like, even after Fan, the reason why I was so glad that a Mirzapur happened was because after that, it was not like there were no films that came my way. They did. But something or the other didn't work out in it.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so grateful for the streaming platforms wherein I was reimagined a certain way.
Yeah. The fact that, you know, you're coming from such a reputed family, a family where your mom and dad have so much experience in the industry. And when you started off, you kind of did not shy away from probably doing roles that had lesser screen time, or you just did work that you liked. And normally हम लोग ने देखा है, if people are coming from like already a family who's in this industry, they want this larger than life debut and stuff. Was that ever in your head, or you just worked hard and like just blindly went like, I want to do what I like and then the rest I'm going to leave it?
See, look, honestly, I did not take a very typical star kid route. And by that I mean, I didn't really wait for that big bang. You know, I felt like I started with a Marathi film, which I actually did with my father. And it was a beautiful father-daughter story. Again, a good script. And after that, when Fan happened, I was very aware that it's not going to be a typical YRF, hero-heroine kind of a positioning. But who's going to say no to doing something, you know, with SRK? I somewhere did believe that my talent will get me work. I did believe that I can afford to sort of see where that takes me. But at the same time, I also know that when you're starting off, call it PR, call it good marketing, good mounting, all of that helps.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen people, even if their performances haven't been good, you've seen how just that mounting has helped them get work.
Yeah.
Now, because I didn't really have as strong a mounting earlier, I had to just rely on my work. And it was really Mirzapur that changed the momentum for me completely. To date, you know, randomly it'll be like, sweetie, and I'll turn around and I'll say hi. So I mean, no matter, you know, मैं Kashyap Guilty Minds की कर लूँ, Madhu Taza Khabar की कर लूँ, I just feel like some characters are iconic.
And
so for me, Sweetie is like a character that people, I mean, it feels nice. In fact, it's a compliment if people know you.
Do you end up watching your own work?
I do.
Oh, you do?
I do. I know there are a lot of actors who don't. I know.
So many people ask them, they're like, I don't watch my work. I don't watch my work. I was like, is there someone, you're the first one in a very long time who has said कि मैं अपना काम देखती हूँ.
Of course, because मुझे देखना है कि I was part of what, ना मुझे देखना है क्या कैसी कहानी बनी है. And I like to get a sense of how the performances are coming through. I like to get a sense of the story. It's also because I'm interested in filmmaking.
Okay.
I'm also watching it because I like to watch it also like an audience, and where I have to be critical. If I feel like something, I'll tell myself, oh, I could have done this better. If I feel like I've done something well, I'll tell myself that.
Yeah.
But personally, if I want to improve and get better, I will have to see my work.
But do you get too critical about yourself?
I get critical where I have to be, but otherwise I'll also give, if I like my work somewhere, I won't be like, wow, you are amazing, but I'll be like, okay, the emotional impact is good.
Tell me, what is your disruptive days like?
My disruptive days are days where I'm very hard on myself. Why didn't I will be hard on myself for being hard on myself. Are you understanding?
That.
I'm that breed.
Yeah.
For a very long time, I wanted to dance on screen.
Okay.
And I wasn't getting the opportunity to do that. वैसे मेरी वो stories नहीं आ रही थी.
Serious roles थे, हाँ.
And इस बार Dry Day में I have a big Holi song, which is an out and out like commercial film Holi song, and I had a blast. Matlab, it was like full masala and the works. My lungs were covered with like purple and red and whatnot. I think I was coughing rang for so long.
So curious to see what's coming in Dry Day. Before we let you go, just one last thing. The roles that you're selecting, you know, they're very unique from one another. They're very versatile.
Thank you.
Is there somewhere like, okay, you like a script, but because it's something similar to what you've done previously, you might not take it up because you want to try something different? It's a thin line.
It is a thin line, but it also depends on who's making it and if I can add something to that character. So for example, say if I've played a lawyer in Guilty Minds, maybe I get another part that's of a lawyer. But what is the personality of the lawyer?
Yeah.
Is that person different? Because I'm not playing a lawyer, I'm playing a person.
Yeah.
I'm playing that person. So if the person's different and if I have a director who's going to help me create
Explore
that,
yeah.
then that's great. I mean, my main aim right now is to just grow by working with people that I think will really reimagine me differently. Like you said, imagine me in like
a bad girl.
A junkie. I don't know, like something like bizarre.
A hippie.
I mean, just something bizarre. I think I want to see myself in that because we're not just one person. I mean, I'm sure you have 10 different sides to you. I have 10 different sides to me. And I feel like I want to explore all of those on screen. That would be so fun for me to do. So I'm also curious to see what comes my way.
No, we are curious too. But for now, Dry Day is something that we're looking forward to. So wish you all the very best for that.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's going to be super good.
Cheers to Dry Day.
Cheers
to Dry Day.
And thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you, Aina. Thank you. Hi, I'm Shriya Pilgoankar. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to Instant Bollywood.